Yo, this is bananas. So I'm just going to thank my AI overlords for the help and actually make the PR myself. And while it's building, have a sip of coffee. And we're done. I've shipped more than 10 apps to production as a solo developer. With every single one of them, the most time-consuming part was getting that one bug report that you just end up spending days on and cannot reproduce for the life of you. Today, we're gonna combine two incredibly powerful concepts: application monitoring and AI coding. The hope is I can save hours or days of debugging and fumbling around logs with this and get that valuable time back and spend it on implementing cool things instead. We've seen AI code over and over again, but very few show how to use AI for debugging effectively. So I'm going to show you how to use an MCP server to actually solve production bug and not only introduce them. This is going to be a good one. But first, what is even an MCP server? Anthropic introduced the MCP server in November 2024. This was around 6 months ago, or in AI times about 6 years ago. An MCP, or a Model Context Protocol server, is a small service that sits between a client, like Cursor or Claude, and one or more slim backends. Its job is to take requests from your prompts, then enrich them with context, and then call the right APIs and return a response in a form that can be shown in your client. This is usually done via a restricted, predictable set of commands that are available to the client, because we don't want AI dropping tables in production all of a sudden. So Sentry saw this and realized we have a bunch of context on all your errors. MCP is pretty sweet, Sentry is pretty sweet. Why don't we create an MCP that can debug errors directly into your IDE? On paper, the idea sounds pretty good. So let's see how this idea holds up when it meets the reality of a complex product application that has tons of files, modules, and who knows what else AI has created while I was brewing my coffee this morning. Before I get into it, just know that Sentry was previously a sponsor of the show, but I promise I'm going to be completely impartial and honest about what this does. In fact, I'm so serious about being objective that I'm going to take out my regular hat and put on my impartial hat, so you have a 100% guarantee that I'm not subjective while reviewing this MCP server. So according to Sentry, their MCP server is a way to provide full issue context into MCPs, exactly what I said before. So Sentry is sitting on a bunch of context. It knows user information, it knows where the error happened, when it happened, and how often it happened, and also in which conditions it happened. So it is in a perfect position to debug your code without you having to do that much, because supposedly it should already have all the context that it needs to solve the bug. Is it any good at solving the bug? Let's find out together. So let's install this puppy. I'm going to fire up Cursor, then go to MCP servers, then press on add new global MCP server, then go to mcp.sentry.dev, copy the configuration, paste it in Cursor, hit save, and then go back. For me, it turned out to be red. Then I pressed refresh, then a new browser window popped up asking me to authenticate. I press approve, give it another refresh, and this time is green. I just so happened to get an email a couple of days ago with a regression on a certain endpoint. It's a 429. I thought I have fixed it in the past, but obviously I haven't. So I have no idea how this works, but there are a couple of workflows shown on the website. I can either go in a file and ask it to propose solutions. I can either go by an issue URL, or I can go and list the issues in my project. But since I'm already viewing an issue, I think what I'm going to do is try the second workflow, which is I'm going to prompt it diagnose issues, paste the URL, and propose solutions. So I can see it figured out what the issue is getting the issue details, and now it's searching my code base. So it looked up the code, figured out that this particular API endpoint is making a request to GitHub, and then diagnosed that possibly this is happening because I'm getting rate limited by GitHub. I'm willing to entertain this idea, so let's see what solutions recommended. The first one is to use GitHub token for authenticated requests. All right, so this is pretty cool. It basically figured out that in another part of the code base, I have a method called getRandomGitHub token that already authenticates against the GitHub API, and supposedly this increased my rate limit and might eliminate the error. The second one is implementing rate limit handling and retries. And the third one, improving messaging or caching results. It's asking me if I want a ready-to-merge PR for the improvements or a more detailed code sample. Yo, this is bananas. So how will it do a PR? I'm just gonna prompt it, yes, please do a PR with solution 1. So I think what it meant by the PR is that it's going to change my code. All right, crisis averted. I had no idea how it be able to do a PR, find the repository or whatnot. But I don't hate the solution either. I kind of expected that it will modify the code, to be honest, so this is perfectly fine. All right, so let's see what it did. Pretty simple changes. It's fetching a GitHub token now. It's adding it as headers. This looks pretty legit. I think this looks good, so I'm just going to thank my AI overlords for the help and actually make the PR myself. So I'll pop up the terminal, make a quick commit and push. And while it's building, have a sip of coffee. And it's all green. Did I just ship this to production? You bet I did. Ain't nobody got time for branches and pull requests. I'm just going to do a simple smoke test and do a bunch of copy codes and see if this goes through. Just to give you some background, the Component Explorer shows all sorts of UI components that you could just copy and paste into your app. And people go in here, they press copy code, they get the code, and then they put it in their application, they're good to go. So I'm just going to simulate an eager user that presses a lot of copy code. And honestly, guys, I think it worked. I don't see any errors. Obviously, time will tell if this was the issue or not. The question is, did it save me time? And by the way, at the time of recording, the Sentry MCP server is still in beta. So I still have my impartial hat on. Looking at the fix is not rocket science, but then again, how long would I have spent finding this? Depending on the day, I might have spent half an hour finding this out, but I think that's giving myself too much credit because I went back to Sentry right now and this issue first appeared 3 months ago. I've marked it as resolved about 1 month ago, so it took me 2 months to look into it, find a solution, and obviously that solution hasn't worked because 6 days ago it started to fail and then it's been failing a few times since then. What I'm most excited about is that I can do this in my text editor and I don't need to switch context between the browser and the text editor, which just absolutely kills my productivity. And I think just for that, this tool is worth it for me. I think this makes a ton of sense if you're using Sentry, and if you're not, beware, there will be dragons. For now, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions about MCP or want me to check out a different tool, please comment below and I'll do my best to check them out in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.